Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to True Talk Tuesday, where we give you the real deal on real estate. My name is Shalisa Muehlberger, and I'm a realtor here in Lakeland, Florida. Actually, I'm a realtor for all of Florida, and I work out of S&D Real Estate Services. If you are here, like always, feel free to leave me a comment, and if you got a question, especially leave me a comment. Tonight's gonna be a little different. Tonight's gonna be a little different. One, I have been crazy busy, like crazy, crazy busy. So I'm gonna be as transparent as I possibly can with you right now. I literally was at a ribbon cutting today because our brokerage has a new home. And so we had a ribbon cutting for the brokerage. And I was at the ribbon cutting and I'm looking at the agents and I'm like, I have no clue what I'm gonna talk about tonight. Like I have not had a chance to plan it. So, um, full transparency, this is gonna be off the cuff. All right. But one of the it was fun, Sarah. It was very fun. Sarah was there, Sarah Stiegler, my lender. She was there with me and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people there. Definitely check out my Facebook because later I will have a bunch of photos up from today. But one of the ideas that one of the agents gave me was uh, we have people, and I've had former students reach out to me and they're like, hey, you know, how do I get into real estate? What do I do to get into real estate? So I was like, all right, yeah, I can do that tonight. I can do that real easily. Is let's talk about getting into real estate. Let's talk about what it looked like for me. So I'm going to share my journey and how I went from an high school English teacher into real estate, what that looked like, how that came about, and how did I get to where I am right now? Because there was there was a lot of moments, a lot of moments. So we're going to go over that. And if you ever think that this is something you want to do, if you want to get into real estate, feel free. I'm not going to just help you buy and sell a home. If you've got a question about this type of work, let's talk, man. Like, I want you to have the education to make any decision that you could possibly make. So, um, first and foremost, I do have a former student that reached out and said that they were interested in getting into real estate and they were like, "What do we do? What happens?" So, I'm going to give you my journey first and because it's a little bit around and about. As everybody knows, I actually started my education career in 2004. So it was almost 20 years when I finally left teaching. So I think it was like 18 entirely. Um, but I went from getting my foot in the door with education by being a what was called a pilot sub for Polk County. Pilot subs were substitute teachers that stayed at that school. They were not going to go to any other school. They just stayed at that school, and that's how a lot of my former students remember me too, because it was a pilot sub for a while. Um, but I did that and got my foot in the door with a high school here in town. And while I was being a substitute teacher, I went through college to become a full-fledged teacher. And when I got my degree, I actually had to intern for a high school that was not like the high school that I was used to. So I had to go to a different high school. I did that, came back and was teaching. I taught seniors for a very long time, senior English. I taught everything from remedial English to honors English to AP literature. I also was yearbook sponsor. For a brief time, we had a digital newspaper that I also took care of. And then I also had a environmental club called the Green Team. So I have a lot of former students from that period of time, and that is something that will come into play later when we get into my real estate career. But as everybody knows, in 2020, uh, COVID, COVID happened. I have a chronic illness that my doctors had made the decision that it was in my best interest to not be in public. So I had to teach from behind a computer, and I learned how to talk to a camera like I was talking to everybody else. I even started like a TikTok channel back in the day. So I was doing that, just trying to make it through, make sure that my students were not just educated, but at this point we were having to entertain on, I had to, it's like they were watching a show, so they had to be entertained. So I had to learn how to be entertaining and get people motivated across the camera. So I did all that, and my students came back. A lot of them, their test scores had gone up from the things that we had done when we got back on campus. But there was a lot of turmoil behind the scenes. There was some things that the school had done that I verbally had said I wasn't a fan of. During COVID, I actually had something called an ADA, which was a medical legal document basically that said I had to stay home, but I was often kind of told like, "Oh, okay, if any more kids come on campus, you gotta come." So I was always pushing back on that. I did not want to go back without being vaccinated and having my doctor's approval. It was a scary time, right? So because I did the pushback, I guess I didn't become they weren't a biggest fan of mine. Admin and all that probably wasn't the biggest fan of mine because I made their lives a little bit harder than they needed at the time. There was a lot going on, and I know they had a lot on their plates, but for me, like, it was about keeping myself safe and alive because of what my doctors had told me. So, I was going through a lot of mental like, there was stress, right? There was some stress, and I wasn't doing okay. There was, things that had changed dramatically, and it just became a very toxic environment to me. So, I had reached out to a friend of mine. Actually, my friend reached out to me, seeing my post about teaching, and they came and said, "Hey, look, I'm in real estate and I need a personal assistant. Would you want to be my personal assistant? I'll hire you and you can leave education." And it was a hard decision because I had always wanted to be a teacher. So I yep, it was enough is enough. And so I went in, left education. I gave them my resignation in January, and I actually started my real estate career on my birthday, February the 1st. So I went in and had no clue, knew nothing about real estate, nothing. I had been in education for as long as, like, I was in education in my 20s, right? So this is a long time. I was there. So I learned as much as I could. The agent that I was with, she would send me to different courses. She was under KW, and so she would send me to different courses to learn. And basically, I was putting systems in for her as I was learning, as I was learning about real estate. Like, I'm putting things into place for her. Um, and I go from being her personal assistant to kind of like being the director of operations over the team and learning how to be a transaction coordinator, which is the person that helps take care of all the paperwork, make sure all the signatures are there, everybody's getting the paperwork that they need. I was updating clients. I was doing a lot, right? And um, we just got to a point where, because of the market and the slowdown in the market, like, it just didn't make financial sense for her to keep me. So we made the decision. I say we, she did. She fired me. She fired me and made me go to a real estate class. So I did. I went and took a real estate course, and very thankful she paid for it. So that was very nice of her. Um, and I took the course. The first time I took the course was online. So when you go to get your real estate license, right? First things first is you've got to go through a course, and you've got to take all these classes on, real estate law, real estate math. Like, there's just so many different things you need to know. And I thought I had taken college on online, so I could take this online. So before she even had signed me up for the other classes, I signed up for a free online course that at the time KW was offering. So I get into that course. I'm gonna tell you guys this. I'm not a dumb woman at all. Not dumb at all. But real estate math made me cry. real estate math made me cry. It was not fun. It was not fun at all. I am an English teacher, right? So when we talk about my numbers and things of that nature, we laugh about, I'm not a numbers person. I'm not. Real estate math, literally, I'm sitting in this chair right now and I'm just like, I'm so dumb. I felt so stupid. Once I got it, I got it. It made sense, but the first go round, it did not make sense. But I took it all online, and at the end of the course, you have to pass the class exam, right? You have to pass, like, you think as far as from education standpoint, your final exam, right? At the end of the year, your final exam, you got to take it. Well, this was my final exam. So I go to take the final exam, and nothing on this test was anything in the module. I didn't understand it. I'm like, this wasn't there. I don't know what's happening. I didn't see that in chapter 9. Where was that? I'm freaking out. I fail it. And because I had procrastinated, I ran out of time to retake the exam. So then I go and I do the face-to-face courses. And I did really, really well. The lady that was teaching, her name's Ginger Cork. Ginger Cork was awesome. She was an amazing teacher, even with the math. Like, she made sure she taught it in a way that I could understand it. And that was such a blessing, right? Like, huge. So I took the course with her, and then at the end of the course, here comes the end of course exam. But this time I knew what to expect. So I did really well. I passed that one. And I think I waited a week. After you take the end of course exam and you've passed your classes, basically, right? You have to go and take the state exam. The state exam, I will say, from what I've been told, most people take it about 5 times. Take it about 5 times before they pass. So I am panic stricken. I'm a great test taker, right? So I'm like, okay, I got this, right? But I'm also panicking inside because I don't want to get too cocky. I don't want to think that, I got this and I don't. So I take it a week later. I did some extra studying between that week. I think I actually went and did like a study course through the Magnolia School. I think that's what I did. So I took some study materials from there, and then I had to go into Tampa. Now, I live in Lakeland, and I had to drive into Tampa. Tampa is probably about 45 minutes. At this point, like, I'm not a realtor yet, and I've always been at schools, so I haven't really driven a lot of places. I did not want to drive. Did not want to drive to Tampa. Tampa's scary. Tampa's a big town, and there's a lot of traffic. I didn't want to go. So I did, though, right? And I get there. I'm very nervous. Now, I'm going to tell you, prior to this, I had taken 3 state exams. In order to be a teacher, I had taken 3 different state exams. So you have your content exam, you've got your professional ed, and then you just got your general ed, right? So I have taken all 3 of those. And I have gone to testing locations to take those exams, right? Never did I have to take off my shoes. I had to take off my shoes for this one. I had to take off my shoes. They had to, like, search. Like, I have decently long hair, right? I don't even think my hair was this long back then, but I had to pull it up in a ponytail so that they could check and make sure that I didn't have anything hiding in my hair that could help me cheat. It was pretty intense. I was like, did that happen to you guys? Just me? Is it because I got green hair? It was pretty crazy. But I took it, and I tried to take my time. I am typically a very fast test taker. One of my methods for taking a test, by the way, is I will go through the test, and answer all the things that I can positively, like 100%, I know those things. If I have to stop and wait or I'm not sure about, I'm going to flag the question and then I'll move on to the next question. And then I come back to them at the end and I take my time there because I have anxiety and I don't want to run out of time. So I answer the questions I can. So I had done that. Same for they did that to you too, Sarah. They made you like look at your hair and all that. It was crazy. I've never had that. Like, what are we doing? But okay, so I don't feel so bad. You had to do the same thing. But they you know, I go back and I answer the questions. Now, the real estate exam for me was a lot of scenarios. So they would give you a scenario and you would have to answer what's the best course of action for this, right? And then some of them were vocab, some of them were law, but a lot of it was here's a scenario, what's the legal way of handling this? They checked your glasses and boots. That's crazy, Sarah. They didn't check my glasses. I will say that. They did not check my glasses, but they did like, rake through my hair and all that kind of stuff, which was wild. But for the real estate exam, I went back and I answered all the things I could, and I still got done really early, which was worrisome because I thought, okay, if everybody else in this room is taking longer time, then I must have missed something. I must have done something wrong. But I know from my own test taking that if I go back and change answers, most of the time I'm changing them to the wrong answer. My gut instinct is typically the best bet, right? So I take and submit the test and I go up to the desk and tell them I'm done. And when I tell them I'm done, they look at me and go, "Already?" Yes. Don't scare me. I had to also like run to the bathroom. Nervous bladder, right? So they hand me my exam, pass or fail. It's a pass or fail thing, right? You know immediately whether you've passed or failed. So they hand it to me. I fold it in half and I run to the bathroom, right? I am too nervous to open it and look at it. I go straight from the bathroom to my car and I sit in my car and I take a deep breath. And I went, okay, whatever this is, it is what it is. And I open up the paper and I see I passed. I passed on the first time. Crazy. Crazy. Again, most people take it about 5 times. And I passed on the first time. So super proud of myself, crying, had to like compose myself because I still have to drive 45 minutes to an hour back home, right? So like, calm down. You got to get on the interstate. We're good. So I get home, super excited. Now, once you pass, there are things that you need to do in order to activate your license, right? So once you've passed, you now can, put your application in to be a realtor through the state of Florida. They have all the information they need. You get fingerprinted also when you're taking these classes, so that way that's been taken care of. Once your application gets submitted and approved through the state of Florida, then you can take and put your license up in a brokerage. I had already been working with kind of a brokerage because I was like I said, director of operations, and she was with KW. So it was just, I went into KW as soon as I got my license. I will say something about KW. Their education for new agents, A++. I loved it. I read the MREA again. I did all the classes that I could take. I took their Ignite class. I learned and absorbed everything because I had no clue, no clue what I was going to do. I also, just being completely transparent as well, there was some mental blocks that were going on. This wasn't something that I ever thought I was going to do. I never thought I'd be a real estate agent. I never thought that I always thought I'd own my own business somehow. And I had owned several different little art businesses to get me through internships and stuff like that. But I never thought that I'd get into real estate, and also I have a very big love-hate relationship with certain members of my family, and they were salespeople. And I was like, "I don't wanna be them." Like, I'm having such a hard time. Didn't wanna be them. Joseph, what's up? Oh my god, I have not talked to you in forever. Hey, look, it's the coolest teacher Lake Gibson ever saw. That's my off topic. Well, thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. I tried to be good to y'all. That's just it. I tried to be good to y'all and make sure you guys knew that you were the most important things in my classroom. I say things, that's horrible, right? Most important people in my classroom, and that you get to grow up and choose your own success. And it was my job as an educator to make sure that you had the tools for that. It wasn't my job as an educator to dictate what that was for you, but it was my job for you to be able to know that you can find it and have the tools to make sure that whatever you wanted to be successful in, you had those. So I appreciate you thinking that I was cool. I just really, really wanted to put my heart and soul into you kids and make sure you could do whatever you wanted. But good. I'm glad I succeeded because I see a lot of you guys killing it. I'm so proud of y'all. Like, I know you guys think that I don't talk to you a whole lot, right? But I see your Facebook post, I see your Instagram posts, and I might not say or comment anything on them, but I'm sitting here and I'm smiling ear to ear, and I'm so proud of you guys. Some of the things that I see you comment on and you're passionate about, that just it makes my whole day. So I appreciate you still being a part of this journey. That I'm no longer a teacher, I'm now a realtor. So I'm super glad that you are still around. All right. And I see all the cool things you guys are doing. So, but I have severe anxiety. So real estate was also hard because I had to make phone calls. I had to talk to people, and I had talked to teenagers, guys, for years. Like, teens were the only people I really talked to. So it's like, how am I going to talk to an adult? Like, I can't look at adult and go, bruh, what's up? What's wrong? What's matter? Like, are you okay today? Couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. Now, I did share with people one of the reasons why I have these kids that come back. For those of you that are watching and you're not one of my former students, right? And you're not one of my friends, you might not know this. Um, but it is, Joseph says, trust me, we do the same, mentally noting your journey in life in silence. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Because it's cool to see you guys, and I'm glad you guys are following along with me. And I'm glad you guys root me on too. And I appreciate that. I have had so many former students who are like, we love seeing you happy. We love, like, we're sad that people aren't going to get to experience you as a teacher, but we are so, so happy that you still get to work with people and you're happy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. It's good. It's good. But when I first started, I didn't know how to talk to adults. I only knew how to talk to students, right? So there was a fear there. There was a fear of me sounding stupid. There was a fear of me not knowing enough. There was a fear of people not taking me seriously because I had just started in real estate. Like, there were so many fears, and having anxiety, like, that just runs with your brain. You get one little fear and your anxiety riddled brain will take it and run and give you all the reasons why you're going to fail, right? So I had all the reasons why I was going to fail. And as soon as I started really trying to get out there and being not being successful because I was scared, um, we had my husband lost his job. So it became apparently clear that I was going to have to put my big girl pants on, and I was just going to have to talk to people. I was just going to have to get out there, and I was just going to have to do it. Luckily, he wasn't out of work very long. The work that he does is highly sought after, but it was still scary. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to support us? Oh my God, right? I'm making commission now. Oh no. So the very first call I ever made, by the way, I swung from the rafters. Like, oh God. I called a for sale by owner that was $1 million listing. and was trying to convince this guy selling his house on his own, it's $1 million house, right? That I was the agent, brand new, but I was the agent that he needed. Um, he's probably he is definitely the reason why I don't like calling for sale by owners anymore. He's definitely the one. I called him and he wouldn't let me take the listing. He wasn't letting anybody take the listing. He agreed that I could use the images on social media, and if I bought him a buyer, he would basically I would be making half the commission that I could make, right? And I was willing to do it because I was new. But this man called me at 9:30 at night, and I'm not gonna answer my phone at 9:30 at night for work. I'm sorry. I've got a family. I've got a husband, right? Like I wanna enjoy my time off. And calls me at 9:30 at night and leaves me a message, like, this really unhinged message, like, "You call me. When I answer the phone, you answer. You don't go and send me to voicemail." I was like, "Excuse me, sir?" Okay, block. And I tell you, he is definitely the reason why I do not call for sale by owners anymore. Terrified me. Um, but I was lucky in the sense that my own son was looking to buy a house. I had friends that were looking to buy houses, so I was able to really start there. And then I also used what I had known from teaching. I knew that I could teach a first-time home buyers class. I could be good at that. So I went after the thing that I was good at first, and we did for sale by owners. I never liked open houses because there would nobody would show up. And it was partly because I didn't know how to pick an open house. Now I'm a little bit better about how to pick an open house, where I'm going to do an open house, whether it has traffic, that kind of thing. But I managed to get through my first year with sales, and then my second year, I had former students reach out to me, and they wanted to buy houses. So my first 3 years have been mainly former students, and then I have started getting referrals, which has been great. So if you are thinking about getting into real estate, understand, like, it's a crazy windy path, right? Um, and when you start choosing a brokerage, I would definitely say, 1, choose a brokerage that either has a mentor program, like S&D has a mentor program, and every Monday night, I facilitate a discussion with our mentees and their mentors on different topics, right? On how to build their business. I have 2 mentees, so I'm mentoring 2 new agents and helping them start their businesses. So that's what S&D does. KW has these different classes that you can join. They have an Ignite program, which, like I said, was a great program. But they had all of that. So if you're gonna get into real estate, 1, you gotta pass your classes, right? Once you pass your classes, you gotta take the state exam. Once you take the state exam, you apply for the state license. Once you get your license, then you're going to put it up in a brokerage. Your brokerage, you really need to take time and look at the different brokerages. Look to see if the culture fits you. When I say culture, is like the vibe, right? Does the vibe fit you? S&D fits me very, very well. We are serious, we are knowledgeable, but we also there's time for fun. So, and it's a family oriented kind of thing. I know I call my broker Mama D because she's a mama, right? Like, I know she's got my back, and I know that if I need her, I can call on her. So I love me some Mama D. Love me some Mama D. There's been things that she's had to guide me through, and I'm very happy that this is the brokerage that I chose to stay at. Um, I left KW for a lot of different reasons. Uh, there were personal reasons, and then there were financial reasons that I left them. And now like I said, I'm with S&D and I love it. I don't anticipate leaving unless something extreme happens. But that's the thing with realtors. It's we can decide, like, hey, I'm not feeling fulfilled at this brokerage, so we can take our license, take it down from that broker, and we can put it up with another broker. But we have to have our license under a brokerage, right? We can't if we are not a broker, and in order to be a broker, you have to be a realtor for 2 years. You have to be a real estate agent for 2 years. Realtor is a different thing. Real estate agent for 2 years, right? And then you have to pass the brokerage exam and go from there and apply through the state. Once you have your brokerage license, then you're good. But as a real estate agent right now, I have my license with a brokerage. Now, what makes me a realtor, I don't know why I have such a hard time saying that word, realtor. I am a member of the National Association of Realtors. I'm also a member of the Lakeland Association of Realtors. So since I am a member of those associations, I have the ability to call myself a realtor. They also require me to take certain certain courses. So that way I'm a little bit more knowledgeable than having just gotten a real estate license, right? I know a little bit more. They do a lot of education. I'm on the education committee. We do everything from put in courses on just how to prospect to putting in courses, understanding AI and how AI works with real estate license. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do as realtors. But it was a winding road. It's a winding road, and I've managed to build this business. I got the award for hustle because my mom's always like, you always be hustling. I'm like, yes, I'm hustling. I'm always getting out there trying to meet people. I'm also always trying to educate, and that's my biggest thing. So as a realtor, I have found that my niche is through education, and that's not surprising because I was an educator. So I typically fall through that. Now, if you are interested in being a realtor, like I said, you got to take your courses, you got to take the exam, you got to apply through the state, right? There's also extra courses that you have to take once you've gotten your license, right? You're as a real estate agent, I want you to understand you are never done taking courses. I take probably 2 to 3 each month just to make sure that I know my stuff, but you're never going to be done. I had a student, like I said, former student, reach out and ask, and she was like, she's interested in becoming a real estate agent, and I will be meeting with her soon to go over where does she start? Where does she go? But you start by taking courses. That's it. Back in the day, I think there were 6-week courses. I still think the brick and mortar was 6 weeks. I think the brick and mortar was still 6 weeks. But you'll take that, like I said, take the exam, apply through the state, put your license up through a brokerage, and hopefully the brokerage that you've chosen teaches you how to start your business, because that is pretty tough. Like I said, I help facilitate Monday meetings on how to do that, how to prospect, how to generate leads, how to build a database, all that kind of stuff, and even just where do I begin? What do I do? So it's crazy, but real estate's been a crazy, crazy ride. I never thought I would be in real estate. I thought I was going to die as a teacher. And I probably would have been I would have been okay with that as long as teaching had not gotten super toxic, but teaching had gotten super toxic and it was not good for my mental health. So I'm here. Is it a struggle? Oh yeah. So when I reach out to you and I'm like, hey, you got any referrals for me? Just know it's part of the business plan. I gotta ask. I've got to ask you. And as always, if you're watching this, if you got any referrals for me, I'll take a referral. Building this kind of business is not for the faint of heart. I will say that. You are constantly working. I know people think that as realtors, all we do is kind of we open houses, look pretty, right? That's not the end all be all. Matter of fact, most of the time when I open houses, because it's former students and they know, Miss M don't like wearing makeup. So most of them know, I'm not wearing makeup. That's not it. The real part of the job is not only building your business, right? And building your brand and making sure that you stay on top of everybody's mind and that they recognize that you are a knowledgeable asset to them. you see all the time in the news where like AI help me buy a house, or, for sale by owners kind of thing. You can do those things, but you can also get yourself in major trouble by doing those things. And when I say major trouble, like there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of legal loopholes that people will use in order to get over on you. So having a realtor helps you make sure that you're staying compliant with laws and that you're not getting taken advantage of. And if you feel comfortable not using realtor, cool beans. Maybe I'm not the person for you. Maybe that's not the person for you, but that's just it. Um, my my job is to build my business and make sure people know I'm available to you. I'm here to help. Whatever I need to do, just let me know. If you've got a question, if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for you, that kind of thing. And so building that part of the business, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work doing open houses. I know you guys have seen my I know you've seen my shorts from open houses and my reels from open houses where I'm just like, I hate putting up those signs. That's part of it. That's part of it. That's how we meet new buyers and sellers, is by doing open houses. Um, I work 6 days a week. I do not work on Sundays. Sundays are for my family and my husband and I. I am madly in love with my husband, by the way. Like, I think he's the coolest person in the world, and I love spending time with him. I do. He's my best friend, and we have a lot of the same interests, and we think a lot of the things in common. And so I gotta have time with that man. All right, I got to. So I have Sundays where I take off, but I'm working 6 days a week, and most of the time I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I will not answer my phone after 7 if it's real estate, right? But there are exceptions to that rule, and I have been known to be doing work up until 11 o'clock at night. Not the greatest, but those are extreme moments. But I am working pretty much constantly. I am always thinking about ways to establish my brand. I'm always thinking of ways of making sure I stay top of mind of people. How do I do things that are fun and out of the box and authentic? Because I really do want to show up as a business person authentically. I don't ever want to portray myself as something I'm not. I don't think that's a service to my customers and to the people here in Lakeland. I think that being authentic also reassures my customers that I'm going to be transparent and truthful with them, because I'm transparent and truthful for everything, right? So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And then once you get into having a contract, once you get into actually looking at protecting your customer, we can't call them clients. There's legal reasons why you can't call them clients. So that's why you hear me say customers. So when I'm under a contract with, say, a buyer, have to make sure that I'm looking after my buyer's best interest. I'm also going to make sure that my buyer isn't going to be house poor, right? I'm gonna look after what their financials are. I'm gonna make sure that they can afford it. We're gonna make sure that they understand the contract. We're gonna make sure that they understand any addendums that are coming through. I Now, my broker has asked us to stop doing this, but I have always called and scheduled the inspections. They choose the inspector, right? But I will reach out to the inspector, and because I'm the middleman between the listing, right, and the buyers. So a lot of times it would be me calling the listing agent saying, hey, can the sellers accommodate an inspector at this day? And so it's me going back and forth instead of my buyers going back and forth. Due to things that have happened recently, our broker has asked us to make our buyers call their own inspectors. And so I have to start letting them do that. That terrifies me. But I do that. I do a lot of hand holding. I do a lot of talking about the process throughout the process. I do a lot of updating you. I will email you. I will email your lender. I will email title. I am constantly making sure that everybody's doing their job, because anxiety makes you have trust issues, which is also a superpower, because now I'm going to make sure nothing gets messed up. So I'm always on the lookout. We have to know your financials. We have to know what kind of things are getting paid at closing. If there was repairs that were done, invoices were collected and they were sent to title. Title has done their lien search. Title has made sure all the clouds were cleared. There's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes. So if you're thinking about being a realtor, it's not just opening a door and looking pretty, right? That's not what we do. There is a lot of behind the scenes. If I'm doing an open house, I've got to make sure I send out marketing. I got to make sure that I am, making events for that open house. I got to make sure that I've posted it as a public open house. There's all that. If I've got a listing, I got to make sure that I've got the proper pictures, because pictures sell listings. You think about you looking at Zillow, right? Think about you looking at Zillow and you're going to see, like, if the front picture doesn't look good, you're not going to go on and look at that house. So I have to make sure that the pictures look good. We have to fill in the listing when we're doing it. When we're creating it in the MLS, the multi-listing system. There are things that I have to abide by for fair housing. So putting up the description, like, I can't say, look at this beautiful view, because not everybody can look at the beautiful view. So I have to kind of do all that and keep that in mind. So being a realtor is kind of crazy because you have to wear a bunch of different hats all the time and you have to have all kinds of different knowledge in order to be successful. Like, I don't just need to know the law, right? I also need to know how to market. I need to know how to create social media content. Social media content takes up like 50% of your time. You got to know how to do that. You need to know how to work with different systems and implement your own systems. And, you got to have the discipline to do this, because nobody's telling you, hey, I'm going to fire you if you don't get here by 8 o'clock, right? You're at home. You can wake up anytime, especially if you have no appointments. So I try my best to get up at 6 and start my day and go from there. But if you really want to get into real estate, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, and you've got to put the effort in. You got to take the time, and you got to be consistent, and you got to do the things you don't like. I got to make phone calls. And I say I got to make phone calls. I do be slacking on my phone calls. Do be slacking on my phone calls because I don't like making phone calls. Instead, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to a coffee shop. I'm gonna sit at a coffee shop and I'm gonna just talk to all the people, because I am good at talking to people randomly. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and I'm gonna sip on a coffee, doing my work from a coffee shop, and I'm gonna see somebody like, oh my God, I love your shirt, right? And of course, then that starts a conversation. And I can get, I can exchange contact info. And if nothing else, I met a new friend, right? That's cool. I can't do that over the phone, right? So I do be slacking on my phone calls. But you got to do the things that you don't like to do. But you also need to find ways that seem easy for you, that seem like this is something that it's not so hard to do. Find a way that works with the way that you work. And I'm lucky enough that I'm starting to figure that out 3 years in as a full-time realtor of my own. Last year I went solo. I was no longer with a team. That took some getting used to. But as a solo agent, it has allowed me to really expand who I am and my brand. And I'm still working on my logo. I'm still not happy with my logo. All right. All right. And I've been told the use of my mushrooms make it look like I'm into drugs. Yo, I don't understand that. Mushrooms are whimsical. All right. Like cottage core. Let's go. Right. But no, I've been told the use of my mushrooms. I used to have the green team, and everybody would say the same thing because I was an environmental hippie. And I guess I just can't get away from it. Do I do drugs? No. All right. No, I don't like feeling out of control. It's not my favorite thing, right? I gotta have autonomy of my body the whole time. I don't even drink. So, but getting into real estate, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot that it can provide you. There is a work-life balance that it can provide you, which is nice. It's allowed me to go travel and do the things, and I say travel, like, I'm not making hand over fist kind of money, but not yet. But I have the time, right? I have the time and the freedom. I don't have to take off from work. I can just go, right? And I can work from wherever I want to work. So that's been nice. But that there the balance is that I do work a lot more. I do work a lot more, and I don't recognize it, probably because as a teacher, I did the same thing. I was working like 80 hours a week as a teacher. So I think I'm used to the grind at this point. I don't notice it. But if you have any questions about becoming a real estate agent one day, or anything that I've said kind of made you think of something, send me a DM, leave me a comment, whatever. I would like for you guys, if you could, like this video, follow my page, right? Leave me a comment so that way I can get thrown into the algorithm, all right? I'd appreciate that. Leave me a comment. But other than that, my lovelies, if you need any help, let me know. If you've got referrals, love that. Love that, right? Anywhere in the state of Florida, love that. If you got any referrals. But until next time we are going to have Julie Surface from Center State Bank. She's going to be on as a guest, and she's going to talk about lending a little bit more. We're going to talk about different programs that are available for buyers, and what changes have been made to some of those programs for this year. We're going to talk about that. So, my lovelies, until next time, be happy, be safe, and know that I love you. Because if people can hate for no reason, I can love for no reason. All right, my lovelies. I'll see you next time.